Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Joes of all ages, welcome to the main event of the evening. It's Talking Joe with Chief and Chris.
Yo! Yo, Joe! Yo, Joe!
Hey! That's right, we're back, and that means I'm back, and I'm Chiefy Two Shoes, and I think you're back if you're still with me. Are you out there, sir?
It's me, Diagnosticated, Chris McLeod from the Full Force, and of course, Talking Joe. How you doing, buddy?
Before we cut into the show, I just want to say what an absolute shambles we've had here in the Talking Joe studios in the last 10 minutes. So first of all, well, not even the last 10 minutes. We tried to record this an hour ago, and the website, the bit of software we used was down. So then Diagnostic said, it's back up, let's get on there. So we got on there. So then we started recording, and there was some crackling in the background. My insulation in my loft was creaking because the weather and the wind was blowing it around, so we recorded again. We recorded about 5 minutes of stuff, and then I was like, what has happened? I did not press the record button, so we had to go back and do it all again. So, right, that's rant over. We've gone inside my mind already. We don't have to do it for the rest of the show. Yes, so, I'm well. I'm well, sir. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It was great hanging out and meeting up in the big smoke.
Yep, that's
in
right.
Londinium town. I stood outside a hippodrome for about an hour, and there were no hippos, so I was a bit upset about that.
Any giraffes?
No, that was that. You're thinking of the giraffodrome.
Yeah. Any
Toys R Us, which doesn't exist.
terradromes?
Zero terradromes. Not even a technodrome in the vicinity.
But no, it was good. We hooked up, so to speak. We went to some comic shops. Shout out to Orbital Comics and Forbidden Planet. We had a Thai green curry.
Yummers.
We exchanged gifts. Thank you for the T-shirt and the Full Force fan club membership stuff.
Thank you for the hats, man. They were well good.
Yeah,
Streets of Rage bobble hats.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, very good. And then we got bad beverages.
Beverage for the show, do-do-do-do-do-do. Beverage for the show, do-do-do-do-do-do. Now I am gonna go, do-do, and drink my beverage for the show.
Oh, a Cafe Nero. Yikes. See this, okay, I have to level here. Whenever I go to any place to get tea, and I'm talking UK, US, whatever, it's like a build your own adventure, but they'll something up for you on your behalf. So what usually happens is I don't like to have the tea bag in there brewing for too long. I don't like it sitting in there brewing till you can stand the spoon up in it. And no matter what I ask for, it never gets done. So it really annoys me when Cafe Nero, she made the tea, but she made it from a distance away. By the time she came over to give me the tea, the bag was in there and it had been brewing for probably about 5 minutes. And it was just syrup at that point. And I'm just no, that's not how it's done.
Yeah. Don't overbrew your bag, lady.
Don't overbrew your bag. But yeah, so that really peed me off inside Chris's mind on this week's show.
Nice. But other than that, yeah, we've been good. We've been getting pumped up, I think, ready for the next season 2, we call it, of Talking Joe. We will be carrying on. Hopefully by now we've pumped out some social medias to let you know what we're doing, and we are going to carry on with The Real American Hero, IDW's version, starting here today now, live with issue 155 and a half.
That's why this episode is called 55 and a half, because we thought we were being cute and intelligent.
Yeah, well, that's for someone else to judge. But yeah, so we're going to carry on this IDW run of Real American Hero. We might... there's been some call-outs from some of the loyal listener base to do some other stuff, like the IDW Cobra stuff, maybe Hearts and Minds, and some of the other things. But, we might get to those as specials. You never know. It's a adaptive, evolving, fluid thing. It's a beast, is Talking Joe. So
it's a beast, all right.
Stay tuned. There is going to be a couple of changes. Notably, there's no more beverage for the show.
Oh, that actually sucks, because I love that theme tune.
Because now it's time for Snack for the Show. That's right, snack attacker. Chief and Chris, like Han Solo and Chewbacca, are travelling through hyperspace to get some snacks. Snack attacker. So, I'm sure we will still consume beverages on this show, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But now it's on to snacks, and I have already eaten my snack because when we planned to get up here to record an hour ago, and then we binned off the recording, I decided to eat my snack because we were going to record it a few days later. And then Chris said, oh, it's back up now, let's get on there. So I've eaten my snack, so I'm going to fake opening the packet now. There you go, fake opening the packet.
God, behind the curtain.
What have I got here? I've got, you won't guess this, because I think chicken and tuna and things like that are normally about 20 to 25 grams of protein per 100 grams. And I think things like jerky goes even higher, to 30 or something. This has got 44 grams of protein per 100 grams. Unheard of.
Yeah, whale meat.
Yeah, no. Smoky barbecue crunchy roasted crickets.
Wow.
Delicious insect snacks packed with protein.
Mental.
And just a quick fact here, why should I eat crickets? As well as being delicious, they're an environmentally friendly source of protein, using less of our precious planet's resources to farm. That's why. Now dig in. To produce 1 kilogram of protein a cow needs 22,000 litres of water, and crickets 1 litre.
Nice.
There you go. Eat your crickets. And I have to say, they were smoky and they were barbecued, and they were very, very tasty.
Oh, okay, you've already done them, haven't you? Of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I rate those highly. So get some. They're called Eat Grub smoky barbecue crunchy roasted crickets.
Well, mine, even though I'm a vegan, mine are animals as well, but only in shape.
Animal crackers.
Can you get? Well, actually, no, they're not savoury.
The things that are like the biscuits with the Cadbury's chocolate on top.
No. Basically, I'll read them out and then see if you can guess what animal they are. I don't know how you'll guess it because there's literally nothing to say it what they are. 4 solid rice milk, insert name here, vegan, dairy, gluten, wheat, nut and peanut free.
They're some kind of bunnies or rabbits.
Oh, you're so far away. It's not even. You're very, very cold. That should give you an
polar bears.
You
penguins.
Yay!
Yeah. First guess.
Coca Libre, dairy-free, dark mint chocolate penguins. So they come in this really pretty. It's like a Christmas cracker style thing, and they all look cute on the actual package. I'm just pulling them out now. And they come in a bag. In actual fact, while I'm here, I'm taking pictures of these because I always forget to do this, and then when it comes to sending Chief the pictures for Twitter and that, I always fail dramatically.
Have you had these before?
I'm going to say no for the snack for the show, but in reality, yes.
Okay.
I'll take a picture of the other thing later. So there's 4 of these little dark mint chocolate penguins in this little plastic wrapper inside the cardboard cracker. And they're so cute. They're like little chubby penguin dudes. They kind of look like the ones out of Wallace and Gromit. You know, the ones from the Long Trousers, or the one from the Long Trousers. And here we go. It's going in my mouth. Oh, yeah.
They sound quite hard.
You wouldn't know. Well, that's just... They are... Then they are and they aren't. They've actually broken down very easily in my mouth. Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah?
If you like mint and chocolate, you'll absolutely love these.
What kind of establishment are you purchasing these from?
I got them as a present.
Okay.
But I'm imagining any of the around Christmas time, I imagine Sano's or Tesco or wherever.
Oh, cool. So I've only got about 350 days to wait. Excellent.
Brilliant. Yay.
Right, that is snacks for the show. But why we're really here and why everyone's really here, well, they might be here for other stuff as well. But we're going to talk about comics. And like I said, 155.5, this is... We'd stopped on 155 and that was 1994, I think. And this series actually picks up with IDW in 2008. So we're talking, 14 years later. IDW had picked up the rights and had been publishing G.I. Joe comics from 2006 with their own continuity line. And I'm not 100% sure I said I was going to do some research and I didn't do it. So slap on the wrist, Chief. I said I was going to do some research as to how this Real American Hero and bringing Larry back to the series came about. So
well, we do know that obviously Larry did Origins for IDW in I think 2008, and it was kind of like almost the precursor to redoing IDW's. Or for IDW to redo and restart the Real American Hero timeline continuity. I actually remember when the news dropped. I remember a couple of articles posting it, and it was really just Larry wanted to continue doing it, and they'd had that connect. IDW wanted to get this done, and the two kind of had already worked together. So the questions had been asked, or the conversations had been had in that time period between then and obviously at this stage. And I think Larry always wanted to kind of get back into it, or at least he wanted to maybe finish what he'd started effectively. And ironically, I don't think many people would have expected the comic to be still going to this day.
No,
I mean, that is quite impressive in my opinion. In an industry where comics is not as strong as it was. And that's a fact. You can argue the semantics of that statement to moon, but it's not the strongest industry in terms of sales as it used to be. No. Even during that run with the Marvel G.I. Joe comics, that's not to say that they're not the quality is diminished in any way, shape, or form. That's not the case. In actual fact, some of the comics have been amazing in the IDW Real American Hero run, and obviously starting this one at 155.5, it was a free comic book day issue.
Yep.
We got a really nice homage to the first G.I. Joe issue with the cover.
Yep.
And I suppose that's something we can get into now, isn't it, bud?
Yeah, well, just before we do that, in the back, I'm reading the single issues. I've got them all, and there's a questions for Larry Hama in the back from some people who've posted some questions. I'm just going to read them out. So one person says, "What kind of tone are you going for with the Marvel continuation?"
Whose tone?
Will you try and bring back the good old days, or will you allow the post-155 issues to reflect where you are now and where the world is now? And Larry said, I'm not the same person I was 25 years ago. I think he is still Larry Hama, but hopefully I know a bit more about storytelling and characterization and the all-important why that drives the characterization. So he's not really giving away much there. Then someone else says, what one thing are you looking to definitely address correct in the continuation that you weren't able to do before? And he said, no,
he's
yeah,
putting
basically
words
saying,
into Larry's mouth.
All those mistakes you made, Larry, how are you going to fix them? Nothing in particular. Every issue of the original run was done by the seat of the pants. Never knew what the end of the issue was going to be until I got it to it. These days, because of changes in the system and in the way comics are sold and marketed, arc overviews are demanded. I can supply them in a very vague way, but I really don't know any other way to write the stories, so I invariably stray far away from those submitted overviews. Basically saying, whatever editorial tells me, I'm going to do my own thing. Interestingly, here's a question. It says, will 155.5 launch an ongoing series? And Larry says, I hope so. This living from month to month is tough. So I wonder, because like you mentioned, 155.5 came out as a free comic book day issue. So I wonder if when it was announced, there weren't not any plans for an ongoing, but it wasn't in the pipeline.
Maybe Larry was kind of being reined in a little bit in terms of what he could and couldn't say. Yeah. But I would suggest, honestly, that he probably didn't know there was going to be an ongoing. Yeah. This probably was just done as a, well, let's do a free comic book day. Let's see how it goes. Let's do like a little special off the back of 155 and see how it goes down. And I think the response was pretty big, and I think they expected it and already had it irons in the fire anyway. Yep. And that's where we get the Real American Hero kind of continuation.
Yeah. And last one here, one guy says, do you have any, or girl, one person says, do you have any thoughts on bringing back October Guard, introducing the Red Shadows, Scar, Serpentor, Cobra La? And Larry says, I love the October Guard, didn't care much for Serpentor, hated Cobra La.
He does not mince words, Larry, does he?
And interesting side fact here, because I didn't really watch the cartoon and I was just comic book man, I thought Serpentor, in my head I always pronounced it Serpentor.
That's because you're an idiot, yeah.
Because it's got the word serpent in it, and so it should be Serpentor, not Serpentor. But anyway, right, we probably need a jingle in here to do with something about comic talk.
Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hama writes them, Chief and Chris discuss them, whoa. Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hama writes them, Chief and Chris discuss them, whoa.
Okay, so like you mentioned, Chris, let's get involved here. The cover is an homage. It's the issue 1 cover from the Marvel run, with the pages ripping, Cobra Commanders peeking out through it. G.I. Joe is gone. Now begins the reign of Cobra.
Yeah, the couple of things I like about this is the fact that they've digitally ripped the front cover, so it doesn't look naturally ripped, does it? Like it's kind of almost a little bit kind of, I don't know. I'm not going to say Mario Paint. It's not that bad, but I do find that quite funny. But I do like the fact they've obviously torn at the point at the top where the fold over where Marvel would be, and you've got like IDW there instead, and so that's pretty cool.
And it's also, the colours are a bit washed on my version. The colours are a bit washed out and pastel-y.
Well, it's almost, I think that almost to show that it's the old being removed and then the new is kind of coming through. That I've got the same thing on the digital. Yeah,
cool.
Don't forget this was a free comic for Free Comic Book Day, so it was I'm no disrespect to any of the Free Comic Book Day creators, but there's always like an element of it's never as well. It is. Some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah,
but this one's okay. Spoiler alert. But there's level you can see where they've kind of made cutbacks, maybe.
Yeah. And this is by obviously Larry Hama, writing, scripting, and Augustin Padilla is the
I would
artist
say Padilla,
here.
Padilla. Jay Brown on colours too.
Jay Brown on colours, yep. And just one last bit of insight from the Chief. I have got all these in singles. We were pictured together with me holding up the latest 269 issue in Forbidden Planet. However, I probably have only read up to maybe issue 240, 245, so I've got 2 years worth of backlog, which I think I'm actually going to save to read on this pod, so I might not get to them till a year's time.
That's cool. Fresh as a daisy.
And of those 90 issues of this particular run that I've read, because my memory's so bad, I can only honestly remember one incident from the whole of the 90 issues I've read, and that is, spoilers, obviously the death of Snake Eyes.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's the only thing that I can actually remember. So for me, it's almost like I'm reading them again for the first time. So
I think that is the case, though. I mean, when obviously there's a few I remember fondly because of what is because of the subject matter.
Okay, yep.
You'll probably guess what that is. It's kind of Action Force related,
right.
But that stands out to me as a really kind of memorable point. But yeah, the rest of it does have this weird knack of bleeding into itself. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're back in the continuity that basically just deals with the brainwave scanner as a plot point, and it's got to the point now where I think everything is just brainwave scanner related.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Let's dig into it. So this is issue 155.5, and it is a kind of a standalone story, but obviously it does lead in. A lot of stuff happens, does get picked up later on, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think you can say this is standalone because if you read 156 on its own, you wouldn't miss anything. You wouldn't be missing, like if you didn't have 155.5, you're not going to be like, what am I missing here? So they've done it because it's a free comic book on Free Comic Book Day. They've done it in that way. Yeah,
there's no real overarching kind of synopsis or story arc for this issue, so I don't think we really need to cover that. I think it's, we can just pick out some key points or bits that we liked. And the first thing I'm going to say is that opening page where Cobra Commander's storming the Senate chambers with Cobra troopers, and then the next page he wakes up and it was all a dream and he's gone to sleep in his hood. It's
like a special bed mask, I think.
Yeah.
It's like he's got a special bed mask. And one thing I will say about that was something I'd noted down, but also he's woken up by Zartan, who has managed to get past his security detail, and he's like, how did you do that, Zartan? It's like, oh, come on. You know how Zartan got past your security detail, for f***'s sake. But also, he kind of like changes form into a hiss tank driver and then says, I simply assume the appearance of a Crimson Guard. It's like, well, if that's what you were doing, you failed dramatically because you've changed into a hiss driver, and that, funnily enough, happens again later in the issue.
And is that Crimson Guard they show? Is that that's a redesign?
It's a hiss tank driver.
Oh, that's a hiss tank driver.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a mistake. It's an art mistake.
Oh, it's an art mistake. Okay, all right. But is that a redesign of a hiss tank driver? That's not what they always look like, is it?
I mean, it's a close approximation
Okay.
of a hiss tank driver, but it is to a certain degree difficult to make out unless you'll look at them side by side. Eventually, it'll make sense.
Okay, so this is another thing I want to pick up on. Zartan, I'm struggling, but last we saw him, he was a good guy, and now he's back to being evil. Is that explained later in the run or not?
No, but
Okay.
also I think that it's funny that he's not in his Ninja Force garb anymore, and I know he was kind of changing back and forth anyway, but I'm pretty sure he was Ninja Force when we left, right?
I don't even know that a Zartan Ninja Force existed, so I'm going to say no.
Yeah, he had the mohawk.
Oh, that's Ninja Force, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you not listening to my toys, Chris Talks Toys, for that episode?
I was probably trying to prep up on a segment of the show that I hadn't got ready for.
Yeah, that was a Ninja Force figure.
Right, okay.
Zartan was a member of the Ninja Force with his mohawk and all of his.
Oh
fancy-
yes, I do remember now because he's got like bits for swords in his legs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I do remember. I was listening.
Okay, well, sidebar. But it's interesting that he's back to regular Zartan now.
Back to regular outfit, which I prefer, I think. But yeah, no real explanation about why he's in Cobra Commander's bedchamber. Maybe that's a spin-off series. I guess there is kind of an overarching, a very small bit, because we see Cobra Commander on a live telly stream to the jugglers. And I got a bit confused here at the Pentagon. So, first of all, I was thinking, how has Cobra Commander got a hotline to the Pentagon? Because he actually says something like, set up a call to the jugglers or something like that. And I'm thinking, how has he got the contact details for the jugglers? But then later on, is it a case that they're in bed together, like so to speak? That
well, they always have been. The jugglers have been this corrupt element of the Pentagon that have always had, like, Destro or Cobra Commander in their pocket left.
I
they're
didn't
all
know
based. Yeah. The jugglers are like a evil band of generals that are just after their own. They're just after more money.
We had that arc,
power.
didn't we, where Roadblock gets cuffed up, and then
Roadblock and Duke got arrested.
Yeah, they
Or
exposed
Hawk,
the jugglers for being kind of corrupt, but I didn't know they were in bed with Cobra. But
Yes.
maybe that was explained, and I just wasn't listening.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, Storm Shadow even had to threaten them to kind of help out with the Snake Eyes situation.
Oh,
as well.
yeah, that's when he did his leprechaun dance on the table.
Yeah, that was amazing. That
was a fantastic leprechaun dance.
But yeah, I mean, what's happening here is that Cobra have kind of started this mini revolution with a faction called, is it Broken Star? I think it's called. Broken Star Liberation Army, and they're basically using them they've caused what this effectively is, this kind of revolution in the United States through Broken Star Liberation Army, utilizing Crimson Guard and other facets that they have. And by doing that, they basically want to get some leverage in the US, and to do that, this is like a long play kind of scheme whereby they would then get the jugglers to commission Cobra as an outsourced kind of security company, and that's how Cobra want to infiltrate again the United States kind of government setup.
Yeah, that's not fully kind of expanded on in this issue, is it, of Cobra becoming that security force? But
no, but he says out loud, in the past, the goal of Cobra and the jugglers were at odds. So there you go. There's straight away that explains what you were talking about earlier. But now we can both see clearly that we have common agendas and aspirations. Aside from the attacks on major landmarks, there were dozens of smaller actions, bombings and assaults targeting shopping malls, amusement parks, banks and corporate headquarters. The entire country is in a panic. The people demand that order be restored. And then one of the jugglers says, we have made certain that the top Pentagon advisors have pressed the president to ask the Congress to declare martial law, but are not certain there will be enough votes. Cobra Commander says, let me worry about that. I'm guessing he's talking about Crimson Guard stuff. And then he says, the Cabal has only to be ready to implement the outsourcing of additional internal security to Cobra once martial law is passed.
Yes.
So it's a very complex, long scheme.
Yeah. And he has Cobra Commander's enlisted some his usual cronies into the fold, hasn't he? So he's got we've seen Zartan, he's got Destro back, Baroness is there, and I was initially what's happening here, because you got Storm Shadow and Billy, and surely they're part of Ninja Force, but later on we discover that they fell victim to your favourite plot device, the brainwave scanner. Ugh. So at some point along the line, they've been captured by Cobra Commander, and he's stuck them through that machine.
Well, when we were last with all of these characters, weren't they in the same place? I'm pretty sure they were all in the same building when we last saw them. And like Zartan and Destro were brainwashed again. They had that thing that Dr. Mindbender had been working on with Cobra Commander. So like they were kind of under like the spell again. The Baroness had kind of like broken free a little bit, but she was wrangled back in. And I'm pretty sure Billy and Storm Shadow were in the same place when we left, as we left everything.
Yeah, possibly.
So all Larry's doing here is he's basically kind of saying that in that time period, those characters were wrangled together. Yeah.
Well, one thing I do want to point out here is I'm going to post pictures or go and Google it if you want to have a look. The Baroness looks like she's wearing a pair of those Sega 3D glasses for the Master System. Do you remember those?
Yes, absolutely.
So
I mean, this is a fashion.
Armani, Prada, Versace too. Joe's changed their outfits from black to blue. Duke and Hawk, look but don't gawk. Changing their kit, whoa, is that legit? Swapping camo jackets, headgear and boots. It's now neon colours and funky spacesuits. Sci-fi stalker and even roadblocks. While Bill, Flint and Mutt gave me a shock. So go take a walk if clothes aren't your passion, because it's comic book talk and lovely G.I. Joe fashion.
Change for the Baroness. She's reverted back to her original blue, which she donned in the first issue, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know how long that will stay, but we'll keep tabs on that. But yeah, so and Cobra Commander's got a new battle suit, courtesy of Mindbender.
Before we get to the battle suit, sorry, dude, I've noticed that the Revolutionary Elite Guards that they're fighting in. So basically, we go over to Trucial Abysmia, and they're in an agricultural research facility, but there's actually just weapons of mass destruction that are being built. They're biological ones. Baroness, Storm Shadow, and Billy are on site to, basically take the place and for their own. And the Revolutionary Elite Guards are there, and they look really cool and kind of are very much brushed over in terms of anything. So
yeah, they got a good look. I think they've done a good design there.
Very much. Kind of reminds me of like a Viper met a headhunter. They had sex. That's the child that they would have.
Interesting.
But yeah, you're right. Cobra Commander's got new battle togs, and they're a bit mental. It looks like Iron Man. It looks like War Machine.
Yeah, he does. There's a bit where, and this is a bit later, so I am jumping forward a little bit, but we can still talk about stuff in between. But there's a helicopter towards the end that is coming towards Cobra Commander, and he says something like he dodges a missile. And I don't recognise those markings, Destro. Could it be a Joe attack? Wait, did you see that? The pilot dodged that missile at the last second. And it was Storm Shadow who was piloting the helicopter. So it's almost like Storm Shadow's imbued the helicopter with some sort of ninjutsu that it can dodge missiles.
No, it's not. It's Baroness that's flying it. He says, Commander, I only know one helicopter pilot who could have pulled off that manoeuvre, and that hind D is sporting Trucial Abysmia colours. The last place Baroness reported in from. So it's the Baroness that was flying it, not Storm Shadow.
How do we know the Baroness is flying it?
Because Destro says it. He says, Commander, I only know one helicopter pilot who could have pulled off that manoeuvre, and that hind D is sporting Trucial Abysmia colours, the last place Baroness reported in from.
Yeah, but then Mindbender says Storm Shadow was with her.
Yeah, but that, like, Destro is saying it in his sentence. Like, that's what he's saying, that Baroness is in that helicopter. He's the only person he knows who would fly that thing.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. I'm saying Storm
but
Shadow
she's in she's piloting it. She's in the pilot seat.
The pilot seat's in the back, is it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm agreeing. I'm disagreeing. I'm saying Storm Shadow, and he's imbued it with ninja powers. Regardless, I like it that he's dodging missiles in she's dodging missiles in helicopters. Billy looks about 50. Is another thing I want to say.
Yeah, he's very old all of a sudden, isn't he? Yeah. Very quick to get there.
And I don't think someone did. There was another thing in the back of the letters page that I didn't read out, and someone said, "When is this set?" So and people were asking, "Is this set 14 years later? Have the characters aged, or is it a direct continuation, and Larry was very vague and didn't answer that question, just saying G.I. Joe exists in its own continuity.
Right.
So didn't want to commit. Art, what do you think of the art in this issue? Are you a fan of Padilla?
I think it's hit and miss. I think in some places it looks really, really cool. Like when, literally that first time we see Cobra Commander in like the comic, it's a really cool dynamic pose on the top of that hiss tank. But he's like, very much him in his classic, kind of onward attack and all that kind of stuff. But then other shots, like I'm not too sure about. I mean, they make the hiss tanks look massive. And quite weirdly shaped, some of them going up the stairs. Yeah, there's some nice scenes like the bedroom scene where he's having sex with Zartan. That's quite sexy. I'm trying to there isn't one specific area that I'm looking at and thinking that's a bit rubbish, but like I don't know, just it doesn't really strike me as like the greatest art, but there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, I think. And he doesn't stay on for long, I don't think. Maybe 6 issues, something like that, into the run. And I think once he's got to grips with the characters and the themes, etc., I think his art does get quite a bit stronger. I quite like this Televiper look with the red
and the gold,
thing on the helmet and the gold. I think that's quite cool. And my favourite bit of dialogue is this bit on page 21 where Cobra Commander says, Televiper, activate fiscal crisis protocol, transmit green light to global warming acceleration cells, unlock the biochemical bunkers, and wake up the sleepyheads. And the sleepyheads is actually these deep cover agents where they all get phone calls and they all get into their garb. And here again, is that another miss art on the very last page? Has he drawn a hiss tank driver as a Crimson Guard?
Yeah, it's like I'm not sure if it was like either an attempt to not update, but like to do something a bit different with the Crimson Guard uniform, or if it was just a complete mistake and he got the wrong art reference. Yeah. But it's effectively, I mean, it's the same as the Crimson Guard we saw at the start of the, or it's again, it's weird because it's less like a hiss tank driver, but if you go back to the first panel, that is a hiss tank driver, 100%. Okay. So it's obviously that he's just accidentally got the either the wrong art reference or they tried to do something different, and it just happens to look like a hiss tank driver. Yeah. One other thing I do want to mention, I think we've pretty much covered the issue. It's only now struck me that we didn't actually see any G.I. Joes in this issue. It's actually only now talking about it. It's full-on Cobra activity. You could argue Storm Shadow's a G.I. Joe. Yeah. You're right, though. And the other thing I want to talk about is the brainwave scanner does pop up a lot, and they make quite a lot of mentions of Dr. Venom. Now, Dr. Venom was the originator, the creator of the brainwave scanner, and he got killed off quite early in the Marvel run, somewhere in the 20s, I think, maybe. Yeah. And wasn't really maybe it was mentioned in a few panels here and there. But no key reference was made to him in the rest of the run. But here they're making a big deal about him. He is appearing on the screens as Billy's getting zapped, and Cobra Commander wants to know why. And Mindbender's saying, well, he installed a lot of himself in the program. It's just glitching, etc. But I think there's more to it than that, which we'll possibly find out later on in the run. Totally. In actual fact, there's a whole arc in recent time. Okay. Within like the last, 2019. Yep. Where Venom featured quite heavily. So he's back. Right. Okay. Well, no spoilers, but yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. I look forward to that. Yeah, I think from I guess we need to. Are we going to do Yo-Joage on these or not? Because I think going forward, what we're going to potentially do is rather than do 4 issues per pod episode, we maybe do 2 or 3, so we can focus in a little bit tighter and effectively keep the pod going a bit longer. Because if we do 4 issues per thing, we'll be done in 7 months when we catch up to the end. And so, yeah, just a few less issues, but that might mean if there's a 6-issue arc, we'll break it down into 2, 3-issue pods. So I think, should we rank where we can? Sure. I mean, this can be ranked because it's a standalone issue. Yep. Obviously at the time I was very excited that Real American Hero was back. So there's a lot of kind of like, oh, it's brilliant. We're back into this continuity. It's almost like a new jumping on point for a lot of people. There was a lot of buzz around. I mean, Joe was actually quite big around that time as well, like 2010. The 25th anniversary had been out and was doing mental numbers. It was like, they were really hitting on the nostalgia, and I think IDW noticed that and were like, well, let's get a Real American Hero out, and let's kind of capitalize on some of this success as well, with the modern figures kind of doing so well, and they thought, well, let's get involved in this. So for me, there was a lot of kind of excitement surrounding it. So there's always like happy nostalgia. I say nostalgia. Hell, it was only 10 years ago. But however, having said that, it's good as a free comic book. I'm not gonna blaze on it too much, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give it straight down the middle, kind of 3, I think, on this one.
Okay,
it's not straight down the middle at all, but
all right.
It's a 3.
We're changing it up, people. We're going to out of 5 now instead of out of 10.
My bad. 5. I'm giving it 5. Sorry, I was thinking potatoes. I was stuck in comic burst mode.
Right.
Apologies.
Yes, yeah. I think I'm going to go probably somewhere around a 6 for me.
In fact, I'm changing mine to 6 because it's definitely more positive.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's a 6.
I'll post up these little nuggets on the socials, because in the back there's a couple of file cards, one for Billy and one for the brainwave scanner. So that's interesting. I've not seen that before. Next week, I'm looking at the cover here. 156. These actually, I've got the Rod Wiggum covers on these issues. They were like the alternate cover, and they're nice to get a bit of. I don't know. So my advice to people is read 3 issues ahead in case we cover 3 issues. We might only do 2, but if you read 156, 57, 58, you'll be safe. You'll be safe as houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Are you in a position where you can talk about toys?
I certainly well is.
Do it then.
Chris talks about toys, ho ho. Chris talks about G.I. Joe. He talks about all the things from the comic book and the animated show. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys.
Okay, so I am actually going to go with a figure that stuck out to me in the kind of early 2000s. And obviously going in through this issue, I like to kind of stick to whatever characters are on show. And even though we don't see an unmasked Storm Shadow, I really loved the 2005 Mail Away Storm Shadow version 20. And that, I say love, I mean, it was just one of those things where it brought back that whole Mail Away vibe again, which I loved as a kid. Like I had Special Corps, Super Trooper, and Cobra Commander as well. A lot of those kind of Mail Away offers that I used to absolutely adore. And so in 2005 we had like Valor versus Venom, we had like I think direct to consumer figures, comic book 3-packs were kind of still being made. There was a Ninja Battle set, there were like 6-packs. There was a lot of G.I. Joe product, a lot of kind of reissued O-ring stuff, some new sculpt stuff, obviously like I said, direct to consumer figures, which would just buy straight off the internet via retailers. And obviously we also had some kind of convention stuff as well. So it was a pretty big year, 2005, in terms of product coming out. And they ran this mail-in on some of the figures to get an unmasked Tommy Arashikage. Yep. So I think it was on the comic packs that I had, there was stickers that said, get your mail-in kind of Storm Shadow figure, unmasked Tommy Arashikage, and it was all like really kind of cool. And I just loved that feeling again of being like, oh man, I can't wait to wait 6 to 8 weeks for this to come through the post. As it was, I don't think I was eligible for it in the UK, so I ended up getting it through either like Small Joe's or one of those kind of online retailers that I ended up kind of buying it from them and just getting it direct. Right. And I was so happy when I got this figure. And all it is a baggy figure with a file card and some accessories, but it's just really neat because he got a new sculpt head, so like a maskless face, an unmasked face, and they used like different versions of like I think 2004 and 2005 Storm Shadows to kind of make up the body. And like he was supposed to have this really kind of fancy kind of dragon deco that I think they ended up giving to a different figure later on or previous. I can't remember exactly what it was, but in the end he was just basically this kind of white figure with the molded, where it should have been painted deco, like the molded dragon on his legs and stuff. And on his back, if you turn the figure around, he had a grey dragon like wrapped up just above his backpack hole. But it was a really cool figure. I love the textures on the design. The build was really fun, and the unmasked head was super cool. And it was the first time I think they'd done an unmasked Storm Shadow in, God, how many figures has he had? I think he had close to 50 something. And I do believe that this one came before Tommy Arashikage, the 3-pack figure where he was like in his Vietnam togs.
Okay.
But I think he comes before that one. On Yojo, they've certainly got him before that one as well. So I think that this was the first unmasked Storm Shadow figure ever. He's got a few details on his body. He's got like a black strap that also goes about like halfway up his torso as well, kind of crosses across his waist. He's then got like a black belt as well, and then the rest of him is white with the grey wrists and grey kind of shins straps, and like it's almost like a flesh tone neckerchief kind of part, which I think either could be a miss. They might have forgotten to paint it, or they went with that just to kind of change, a bit of the deco up a little bit. He comes with a hood, believe it or not. It's a hood that you can remove,
right,
which is really, really neat, like a little helmet kind of style. He comes with the sword with the holes in it, which is kind of, I think, Snake Eyes had back in one of his early versions. And these two really kind of weird knives that have been used before as well. They're kind of really odd shaped kind of knives with little kind of almost like ports on the handguards. They're kind of weird. But he comes with two of those as well. He also came with a file card. The file card was really nice because it was like a cut file card. It wasn't one that you had to cut out yourself. And it had a gorgeous bit of art on the other side. It's a black file card with a huge red Cobra logo and then this new artwork of Storm Shadow over the top of it. And again, he's rocking like slightly different clothing than the figure, and the deco has got like the kind of teal dragon and other elements involved that obviously this figure does not have. And the file card basically has the information that we're fully aware of. Thomas M. Arashikage file name, primary military specialty ninja, secondary military specialty sabotage, birthplace San Francisco, California. Storm Shadow was once a master in the Arashikage ninja clan along with his sword brother Snake Eyes. He was taught the ways of the ninja by his father, Hard Master. Storm Shadow could never accept that cooperation, not conquest, is often the key to victory. His desperate need to be the best in his father's eyes was a fatal flaw, exploited by a Cobra ninja who infiltrated the clan. The evil ninja caused the death of Hard Master and had the blame fall on Snake Eyes. This split the clan and the Sword Brothers in two. Now Storm Shadow works for Cobra in his quest to get revenge against Snake Eyes, but is his dedication to the cause of evil the truth or a deception? Ninjas work with the art of illusion as well as the blade of the sword. What are the true motives of Storm Shadow? And the quote is, "I will do what must be done to avenge the death of my father."
Do it.
And basically, that is Storm Shadow version 20, Cobra Ninja.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I did not even know that figure existed. So, education for the chief, free of charge. Well, I hope
Education's what you need.
More toys next week?
Absolutely.
Well, that's good because we need them. We got a jingle for it. Another thing we got a jingle for is British colloquialisms, aka over egging the pudding.
We got a pudding, we're gonna egg it. We got a pudding, we're gonna over egg it. We got a pudding, we got no criticisms. That means it's time for some British colloquialisms.
All right, next.
Yes, next. You want this one, or shall I go?
Yeah, I'm the lead.
Do it.
I'm not sure if we've actually used this one already, but it's something that I think a lot of us can relate to in the world around this time of year.
Hemorrhoids?
This sounds like a infomercial that we've started doing infomercials for hemorrhoid cream, guys, because we want the money. And obviously with having this massive fan base, it makes sense to do hemorrhoid cream. No, and in actual fact, it's obviously what happens around Christmas time. You have to buy loads of presents. What does that inevitably lead to happening?
A decrease in the bank balance.
Exactly. And one word that describes not having any money in the British slang vernacular
does it start with S?
It does, but before you say it, it's also, if you move the letters around, it's the sound effect that Wolverine has when his claws come out.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah, snicked. But
Exactly.
in actual fact, it is... Oh, no, I was pumping you so you could say your own one.
Skint.
Yeah, skint, yeah.
I was like, he wanted to say it, so I'll just let him.
No,
and he's
no.
like, no, it's he wants me to do it.
True professionals here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is like when you've played football with someone for your whole life, you know exactly what they're going to do.
We got no
It's
idea.
Like us. We have no clue.
Skint, yeah. I'm pretty skint at the moment.
Aren't we both?
Yeah.
Crikey.
I like that one. I like skint. I actually use that. I do use skint, yeah. My one is... Another one actually is Brassic.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one,
Brassic,
yeah.
for nothing, no money.
Brassic Park.
Yeah. My one is... I had some good bants.
Oh, pull your bants down.
BANTS, or banter. I don't know if banter is used elsewhere.
Yeah, the Archbishop of Banterbury. Yeah, all those.
But to have banter is to have a good back and forth, some good chat with someone.
When you're skint.
Yeah, when you're skint. Bants when you're skint.
Pull your bants down.
Pull your bants down. There'll be more of that next week if we can think of some or hear some that we have used in the past week, which is our past, your future, someone's present. But right now, it's time for...
Listeners answer a question. Listeners answer a question.
Meow, meow.
Posed by us, just for you. Listeners answer a question.
Wank, wank.
That's right, we've gone and reversed it on you.
I love the way you work it. And if you let me, I'm gonna flip, reverse it. And I'm making what the
Because I'm not asking Chris a question, he's not asking me a question, we're asking you, the listeners in Podland, to answer questions that we posed. And we actually stuck a question up on the Twitter sphere this past week asking what your favourite war movies are. I can't even speak. Because
What's your favourite war movies is? What?
Are you skint yet? The movie 1917, is it out now for general release? I think it is.
It is, yeah. It's out, yeah.
It's out, getting rave reviews. So we posted up originally we were going to say what your favourite war movies from that kind of era, that sort of bygone era, but
I decided to ruin it.
Instead, we opened it up to just favourite war movies. I thought it'd be interesting to see, if people went down that path and tried to relate it to that 1917 era or not. And we had really a lot of responses, so big up yourselves. That's actually a compliment in the UK, so I'm not
big up yourself.
I'm not saying stick one up here. That's a compliment. Thank you very much for all the feedback we got, and I'm actually going to just read out pretty much all the responses we got, and then we can pick out a few that we agree with or not. So here we go. All Quiet on the Western Front, Downfall, Battle of Britain, and a lot of these I've written down in my handwriting that I cannot read, so apologies if I get them wrong. Hamburger Hill. There's a couple of cases. Someone made a case for Transformers, which was interesting. Casualties. I've just written Casualties, so I assume that's not the British show about hospitals. I think that's Casualties of War. Apocalypse Now, Dunkirk, The Dirty Dozen, The Eiger Sanctions, Saving Private Ryan, got 3 mentions. Full Metal Jacket, got a couple. Glory, A Bridge Too Far, Platoon, got a few mentions. The Longest Day, The Thin Red Line, got a few. Memphis Belle, Kelly's Heroes, Gallipoli, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, A Midnight Clear, Battleground, MASH, Three Kings, Jarhead.
So all of them then, basically.
So all the movies ever made. But what's interesting to me is a wide range of eras and periods in history there, which I thought was interesting.
What came up the most?
I think we had 3 for Saving Private Ryan, at least 2 for Platoon and Thin Red Line. But for my personals, I really like Glory with Denzel Washington, Matthew Broderick, who else? Samuel L. Jackson's in that, I think. Really, really good movie. That's set in the Civil War, the US Civil War. And what wasn't mentioned, one of my favourite WW2 movies is Bridge on the River Kwai with your man, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Who the bloody hell's Obi-Wan Kenobi? Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
Also, I think my one, I mentioned my one on the page
Dunkirk,
as well, but
yeah.
Dunkirk I thought was really, really good, really emotional, really kind of like, powerful. Really enjoyed that one.
And Gallipoli with Mel Gibson. It's an early Mel Gibson movie set in World War One.
Gallipoli,
yeah. I really like. But I haven't actually seen half of the movies on here. A lot of these WW2 movies I haven't actually seen, so it's given me some food for thought, and I'm going to try and consume some of these. But interesting choices, I thought. Interesting choices, and again, thanks to everyone who sent in those. Yeah, that's it. We'll be posting up another question to the listeners next week. So if we can get the similar feedback, it'll be good. This segment could be good. So. And
there was you thinking we wouldn't get anything in the time period of 2 days.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I was like, are we going to get any responses in 2 days? And you're like, yeah, these people are good. These people are good to the show. So yeah, and we did. I think that about wraps it up. A nice, tight, sharp episode this week is our first week back. And like I said, make sure you read 156, 157, 158 ahead of next week, and that'll put you in the picture, put you in prime position. If you want to rank and review us, that always helps. Go on to the purple icon on iTunes or wherever else it is on Spotify. Just give us 5 stars. Tell us you love the show. You want
don't
more.
lie.
You want more from Talking Joe.
Give us what you think we deserve.
Just say these guys are a couple of idiots, but I'm going to listen anyway. Whatever. It doesn't matter what you say, as long as you give us 5 stars. That bumps us up the rankings and that funky iTunes algorithm that no one knows how it works to get you on the list. But where can the people find you, sir, if they want to check out more of your good work?
Diagnostic80 on Instagram and Twitter, and of course the Full Force podcast on Facebook and Twitter, on Podbean, iTunes and Stitcher, on YouTube and Patreon.
Yeah. And you're actually recording another Full Force podcast coming up, so you need to get away and do that. If you want to hit up me, I'm Chiefy Two Shoes on Twitter, and when I was with Diagnostic in London last week, we had a little look, because I forgot I had an Instagram account. We had a look at the Chief's Instagram account, and which was opened in 2014, and I think I've got 3 posts. So that is an account I do not use, so don't go and follow me there, because you will get nothing from me there.
You're going to get thousands of followers there.
Yeah. With all that said and done, we will catch you down the road.
Happy New Chio!
Bye.
Yo, Joe!